Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of hashtag CB99 Talks. I'm Combo Breaker 99, and I'm back with another episode for y'all. Not a very long episode. I just want to go back and talk a little bit about some of the fighters last weekend, as far as Poliana Viviana, Emily Whitmire, Jin Yoon Kim versus Alexa Grasso, Hannah Cyphers, and Mallory Martin. Just kind of recap their fights and, talk about where they stand right now, especially Hannah Cyphers. I want to go back and talk about her a little bit. And next October 17th, it's going down. Caitlin Chookagian versus Jessica Andrade. I did a quick video talking about this, so I want to talk a little bit more about this on this episode as far as what this fight means and how this fight is going to look. And is it really a mismatch? Is this really going to be a solid competitive fight, or is this going to be a mismatch in the making? So yeah, we'll talk about that on the prelims. We got Montana De La Rosa versus Viviane Araujo. Montana De La Rosa, I feel like, right now she's a very, very dangerous flyweight on the come up, but so is Viviane. Viviane, she poses a big threat to her. I think this is going to be an interesting fight style-wise. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that too, man. But, yeah, just going back to last weekend, we had some good, solid fights go down. Pretty much, who I felt like was going to win did win. Except for I had a bias pick, Poliana versus Viviana versus Emily Whitmire. I was going for Emily in this fight. I felt like she did have the striking ability to frustrate Poliana, which she did in the beginning. There was a few trades in that first round, but Emily, she chose to take it to the ground against Poliana, and then that's where I was like, Poliana Viviana, that's where she's a little bit more dangerous. And when she got to her back, she defended well against Emily. Was able to nullify one of Emily's striking arms. She trying to hold that arm from striking. And then after that, she just transitioned smoothly to an arm bar with the opposite arm on Emily Whitmire in the first round. So I was like, wow, Poliana really needed this win. She really needed it, and she showed that she wanted it. So sometimes these fighters with these losing streaks, like 3 or 4 or 5 fight losing streaks, you can't count them out, man, because they know that's that time when Dana might, it might be cutting season. That might be cutting season. So that, they get that fire lit under their ass where they got to be like, yo, it's time to go. So I feel like Poliana, she did what she needed to do, man. She just went in there, said, I'm going to take advantage of this moment and do it. And that's what she needed. As far as Emily Whitmire, shout out to Emily. I'm still a fan. I feel like, there's just a few things that she needs to work on, as far as the IQ, stick to what you know. Don't go in there starting so fast against a dangerous fighter like Poliana in the future. I was happy to see she made weight this time around, so like she said, nobody really wants the fight to go this way. We just got to go back and work harder, so yeah, definitely want to see Emily Whitmire get back in there. But yeah, going into this next fight, Mallory Martin versus Hannah Cyphers, this was another crazy finish, man. Mallory Martin, she proved how much of a warrior she is to come back from a very, very scary, shaky first round to just completely dominating the second round and being able to submit Hannah Cyphers with a rear naked choke. After Hannah Cyphers was using her experience and her boxing to the best of her ability in the first round, because, Mallory Martin is that type of fighter that likes to go in there, go in for the kill, and go for your head. She wants to take you down and whoop you. She likes to beat you down. And Hannah Cyphers was using the experience early on, calm, cool, lateral movement, leg kicks, jabs. Took a couple hits here and there, but she had the right movement to set up a beautiful right hand on Mallory Martin. And I know some people felt like it should have been a stoppage loss for Hannah Cyphers, but after clearly looking at it just that first time, I was like really looking hard at these shots that were landing on Mallory Martin when she was hurt. But I was like really really impressed the way Mallory Martin was just like defending. She took some shots, but at the same time, when she knew she absorbed maybe 2 or 3, something in her instinct was telling her, I got to move, because if I don't move, if I get hit maybe 3 or 4 more times, the referee's going to step in and stop it. But it was like instinct. Like, it was like slow motion. When Hannah Cyphers hit Mallory Martin with that first right hand and dropped her, I was like, okay, this is over. she was out as she fell in mid fall. But she was out as she was out in mid fall. But when she hit the mat, of course she woke up. Then she took a few more shots, kind of rolled with them on the ground, got back up, was taking a beating, from one fence to the other, but still kind of rolling with the shots as Hannah Cyphers was hitting and slugging. But I think Hannah kind of gassed out a little bit because the shots weren't as ferocious, they weren't as intense. So when she's taking these big shots, Mallory's rolling. She's blocking a lot of them. She puts that distance too at the end of the round to make sure she's away from danger, and the referee's not thinking of stopping it. So I was just like, this is impressive. This was impressive on her part. But I think that the referee did a good job as far as letting her continue, because like I said, that would have been a blown moment for Mallory. That was very impressive. I think that Hannah Cyphers kind of let that moment slip. When she cracked it with that one right hand, she should have just locked in on Mallory Martin on the ground with that first knockdown and just continue to pound away with the same hammer fist over and over to the referee stop it. Kind of like Shannon Dobson did to Maria Agapova. That's what Hannah needed to do. But she let her get her second win in that second round. Whenever Mallory Martin came back in, she wasn't shaky. Her legs were back up under her. Mallory went back in there and took Hannah to the ground and roughed her up, mauled her until she got to her Hannah Cyphers back, and she was able to submit her. So that's just one of them things that always fascinates with me, how the tables can turn in MMA. You know what I mean? Like one minute the fighter can be hurt, then boom, next minute you're getting choked out. That's what's so crazy about it. But like I said, I was really impressed by Mallory's survival skills in that one. She didn't try to fight off her heart. She didn't try to go toe to toe. She just said, okay, let me get my feet back under me. Let me get my legs good, and then I'm going to go back in there and do what I do in the second round. So that was impressive on Mallory's part. Hannah Cyphers, man, I don't know right now, man. Like, she's 0-4 this year. 2020 has been a bad year for everybody. It's been one of those years. But in a fighter standpoint for her, it's been a bad year. 0-4. Granted, I love to see an active fighter, but not like this. Not like this, especially when you're just going in there and not performing to your full potential, because it's more like you're just going in there as food for the next person. It started with Angela Hill this year. It was in my home state. That was a fight, homecoming for both of them. That fight didn't go in her favor. It was a second round stoppage to Angela Hill. Who else? Then Mackenzie Dern. That was a fight she started off looking like she could have won, but another fight where she got finished. The Maria Agapova fight, which to me was a mismatch at flyweight, she got finished in that fight. And now number 4, Mallory Martin. Another young killer. On the come up. A fight that she had her moments against, and she got finished again. So it's just like, wow, man, like, you can't keep doing this. You can't just keep going in on short notice fights as food for other fighters, especially somebody like Hannah Cyphers. Like, I like Hannah. I feel like Hannah has really good skill, and she's she's a naturally physically strong fighter. She's country tough. She's strong, but it's the IQ. It's the IQ. She doesn't fully use her strength to her strengths to her ability. You know what I mean? Like, she's got this boxing style that I feel like with her height and her reach is kind of like Tisha Torres. It's similar to that, but she doesn't use it. She doesn't put it together enough. She doesn't put the punches together, in and out. She doesn't use the counter right hand enough because she has pop on her shots, a little bit more pop than Tisha Torres. So I feel like there's so many things that, she needs to put together, and these different style matchups that she's in. And another thing is because I think a lot of these fights are on short notice. I think because her team is not giving her the advice that she needs as far as saying, let's not take this fight. Let's wait. If we are going to take this fight, let's study this opponent. Like, when you take fights on this such short notice, you're not really having the time you need to study these opponents. And that's why I say, like, the IQ thing is kind of abandoned right now on Hannah Cypress. You know, I'm just being real. Like, I ain't bashing no fighters. I always got to say that. You know, I'm just going off of what I see, like corner talk. You know, I feel like Hannah Cyphers really needs to take her time now and think about, does she want to just be food for other fighters on their come up, or does she want to be a contender, or does she want to be a champion? You know what I mean? What is it you want to be? And both of these type of fighters, they they just want to go in there and fight on short notice and stay active in that fashion is totally different than the fighters that want to be contenders and champions. You know, fighters that want to be contenders and champions, they're studying opponents, they're taking the right amount of time off. And in that time off, they're studying. You know, they're studying who their next opponent is. Like, okay, I'm going to fight Maria Agapova. Okay, I know I'm going to need to get in on the inside of her range. You know, Angela Hill, you know, I can't stand and trade with her. You know, I got to take her ass to the ground right away. Mackenzie Dern, I'm fighting Mackenzie Dern. Avoid ground at all costs. Box the hell out of her. Same with Mallory Martin. You know, Mallory Martin, counter, you know, box. If I hurt her, get him the hell out of there. You know, just little things like that. Like, I'm sure this is going through their mind, but it's more so like as soon as the fight is taken, they're thinking, okay, we're just going to take the fight. We're going to kind of ride it out and see what happens. Oh, man, like, that's a dangerous thing. You know, and right now, the way Hannah Cyphers is taking so many fights, and she's racked up all 4 losses this year and hasn't won one, that's a dangerous thing. You know, not just to your reputation, but to your health. You know, after that 3rd one, I would say, Hannah, we got to take the rest of this year off. If you are going to take another fight, we got to make sure it's in December when you have time enough to say, hey, let me figure out what it is I need to do right, what it is that I really need to work on. And for me personally, I think it's the IQ. I think that her IQ is Hannah Cyphers' downfall in fights. You know, she's not committing to what she really needs to do against her opponents. You know, judging by her body size and, you know, her style, you know, she really needs to start putting things together like this. So, yeah, I just think that Hannah Cyphers right now at 0-4 has a lot of thinking to do, because next year, like I said, it might be cutting season again. You know, cutting season may be coming pretty soon, you know, depending on what type of money the UFC's having to really dish out for these events. You know what I mean? When they have to start cutting the fat out, certain fighters start to get cut. You know, they already cut Betch Coer out this year, last month, right? And a couple of other fighters. So, you know, she has to keep that in mind. You know, so my advice to her, if I was in her corner or part of her team, is, you know, we can't keep taking fights every 2 or 3 months if we're not looking to make sure we're 100% there to win. You know, we got to think too, are they seeing us as food for an upcoming champion? If it's that, then we got to make sure we don't take that fight. We just got to turn it down, you know, because I'm sure, look, there come moments like with Randall Marcos where they tell you, take this fight or we cut you. But it's like, come on, Hannah Cyphers is always there. She's always there. She's always active. When she's on 0-4, you know, that's not fair to her. She deserves a break now. So to me, take a break until next year. Make sure you come back and work on the things you need to do. I feel like she has the boxing skill, the striking skill to compete. She has the speed, the physical strength. It's just the mental has to be there, man. That mental needs to put everything intact. So, yeah. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think, man. What do y'all want to see Hannah Cyphers do from here? Take a break, you know, the rest of the year, of course, and then just come back next year. What does she really need to work on, in y'all's opinion? All right. And last fight from last weekend, real quick, Jin Yoon Kim. She was pretty much outboxed and outclassed by Alexa Grasso. You know, this was Alexa Grasso, her move up to flyweight. My thoughts on her move up is it was necessary, you know, because, you know, she was definitely having trouble making 115. And right now, for a lot of the women that are really killing themselves at 115, you know, really need to move up to 125, because I think that it's really holding back their potential. And somebody like Alexa Grasso, I'm glad she did move up because there's a lot of things that I think she's going to be able to do at flyweight she wasn't able to do at 115, at strawweight because she was killing herself to make weight. But going into this Jin Yoon Kim fight, I was able to see a nice, fluid, fast, strong puncher in Alexa Grasso. Her timing looked solid. She was on point with her punches in this fight. She was strong on the ground with her takedowns, with the takedown defense. She was dealing with a tall, long fighter that applies pressure in Jin Yoon Kim. Jin Yoon Kim was countering her early on, timing her early on, but Alexa Grasso settled in, started landing in combinations, got the respect early whenever she started landing her right hand on Kim. And I think that Alexa Grasso really had some good moments where she almost could have stopped Jin Yoon Kim. I think the more and more Alexa Grasso settles into this flyweight division and she starts to sit down on her punches, she'll start getting stoppage wins because she's a boxer. I'm just being real. Like, she throws her punches like with bad intentions. She sits down on them, and she's a good counter puncher, Alexa Grasso. Next to Rose, she's like another fighter I'd like to see in a boxing match, and I would like to see, lace them up, lace up the 8 ounce, 14 out, 12 out, whatever. I'd like to see her with some gloves on, throwing down with some of these women boxers. But yeah, I really was impressed with what Alexa Grasso brought to the table at 125 pounds. I will say this, though. I think that she needs to move her head a little bit more, dealing with harder punches, dealing with some of these faster ladies or the ladies that can time me. She's going to be getting cracked. She's be getting cracked if she keeps her head on the line like that. Because I thought Jin Yoon Kim cracked her a couple of times with the left hook and the right hand when she let him go. And that was the thing. Kim was like a long-rangey fighter. I wanted to see her put more pressure on Alexa Grasso at times, but again, Alexa Grasso's fast. Offense is fast, and the speed kills, So overall, I was impressed with Alexa Grasso. What about y'all in the comment section? Let me know what y'all think about Alexa Grasso. Who you want to see her fight from here, man? Because I think Jin Yoon Kim definitely gave her a good look at flyweight, but now I'm ready to see. I'm a fan of Alexa Grasso, so I'm ready to see her. I'm ready to see her return at the end of this year against another top flyweight, man. So yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comment section. So yeah, man, I'm moving on here. This topic I want to discuss with y'all: Caitlin Chookagian versus Jessica Andrade. It's going down October 17th. This is going to be Jessica Andrade. This is also her flyweight debut coming up. And she's going to be taking on the top former flyweight challenger in Caitlin Chookagian. As you know, it was originally supposed to be the battle of the Jessicas. It was going to be Jessica I versus Jessica Andrade. Jessica I actually had to pull out of this fight because of some, I think some injuries. They didn't really disclose what type of injuries, So she had to pull out of the fight. So they added Caitlin Chookagian to that card, and she's gonna be taking on Jessica Andrade. So yeah, that fight's going down. And my question to y'all is, what do y'all really think of this fight? Right now on paper, when you first look at it, it almost looks like a mismatch. It looks like such an awkward matchup because you got Caitlin Chookagian, this tall, long, lanky flyweight, versus this short, compact little bulldog in Jessica Andrade. You know what I mean? It's like an 8-inch height advantage for Caitlin Chookagian, or was this depending on how she uses the advantage? But right now, we'll say 8-inch height difference. Let's say difference for now. It's an 8-inch height difference and a 4-inch reach difference in these two fighters. So it really makes it look like a sideshow. It almost looks like Bea Malecki versus Veronica Macedo right now. But surprisingly, there's a lot of people that think that Jessica Andrade has the skill, has the power and the strength to come up to flyweight and make this a tough fight for Caitlin Chookagian. First, I'll tell you this. I felt like the Jessica I fight versus Jessica Andrade would have been more competitive, and it looked like a better fight as far as a matchup. That was a good fight for Jessica Andrade because she would have been in there with a very experienced fighter. At the same time, a winnable fight for Jessica Andrade. I mean, okay, you don't want a winnable fight. Nobody wants to go in there and just say, okay, I know I can beat that person off top. And nobody wants a predictable fight. They need a challenge. But it more so looked like the right challenge for a fighter moving up to flyweight, if that makes sense. For fighters moving up to flyweight, you want them in there with a challenge, but at the same time, not a mismatch, But this one here just looks so much more like a mismatch. I mean, I know that I holds a win over Caitlin Chookagian, but styles make fights. And Caitlin Chookagian has more of a disciplined style, in my opinion, than Jessica Eye. And it wasn't that dominant a win Jessica had over Caitlin. So Caitlin's definitely still a solid top contender. She fought her way to a title shot. She's beat JoJo Calderwood, Jennifer Maia. She beat some of the top fighters in the flyweight division. So Jessica Andrade moving up, taking her on as a debut at flyweight, that's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous fight, especially when you're coming off of 2 losses to top level strawweights, with hands, 2 fighters that use their hands to earn their wins over you. Rosa Namajunas, who almost beat you in the first fight with her hands, just outboxing and outstriking you. And then you had Jessica Andrade, who stopped you with the right hand. And then you had Rosa Namajunas, who pieced you up again with the hands, not on the ground. Now you go in there and 10 pounds heavier against a 8-inch taller fighter with a 4-inch reach advantage. So it's like, this is a fighter that is very slick, economical with her punches, likes to strike, and you're taking this on as a first fight. So it's just like, wow. Like, I give Jessica Andrade all the credit in the world. She's not a ducker at all. She's going in there, because let this be boxing. Sometimes, fighters like this, they won't go in there with these type of matches. For Jessica Andrade, it's like, yo, let's get it. So I got to give her credit there. So, but when you just look at the matchup right now, Caitlin Chookagian's got a lot of advantages here. Of course, she's got the striking advantage, the height advantage, the physical size advantage. Will Jessica Andrade be able to move up 10 pounds and be stronger than she was at strawweight here? I know she competed at 135. People commented that to me before. I already know that's where she came from. I know who she's fought at 135. But that's another reason why she moved to 115, because she wasn't a top level contender at bantamweight. She fell in the middle and sometimes down because the bantamweights were too big. She couldn't slam these bantamweights, so she moved down to 115, where her strength is more dominant and more superior. But now you're kind of falling in the middle, where the ladies are at a weight where they can compete and feel strong and powerful at. A lot of these ladies are moving up from 115 to 125 because they were killing themselves, but now they're getting the results they want at 125, like the Cynthia Calvillos, the Alexa Grassos, the Courtney Caseys, the JoJo Calderwoods. They're all at a weight now where they feel more stronger. Will Jessica Andrade be able to do that too? Will she feel stronger, or will she be overpowered by these much taller ladies with bigger frames? And I'm looking at somebody like Caitlin Chookagian. She's not like the biggest muscular, like, fit lady in the world, but she comes in strong and she comes in, tone. And when she comes in there like that, I'm like, okay, how are you going to handle this? Are you just going to go in there and slam Caitlin too? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be that easy. Caitlin, again, is very slick with her hands. I see her with those little boxing moves she does. I see her looking at boxing tapes. She's in there, using that jab. And what is it we always say about Jessica Andrade? Jessica Andrade's worst enemy and her kryptonite is the jab. That's why I always go back to the jab on everything I talk about, man. The jab is an important punch. Whether it's landing or not, you use it as a blinder, use it as a rangefinder. It's important you use that jab, man. And, that's why I say, like, Jessica Andrade needs to get in touch with hers, because right now, the jab is her biggest enemy. You know, and Caitlin Chookagian is that type of fighter that's going to utilize a jab on such a shorter, smaller fighter. Why take my chance and let her come in when I could just piece her up all night the same way Rose and the smaller fighters like Joanna did? You know, why am I going to even bother trying to wrestle with her? Why am I going to try clinching her, taking her to the ground when I can out jab her all day? You know, so that's another thing that Jessica Andrade has to think of, and that's something that Caitlin Chookagian is probably already kind of, you know, salivating about. You know, she's probably already like, yo, I got this. So for Jessica Andrade, another thing she has to think of about is when you move up, you have to start to become more technical, and you know, you really start to have to work on more defense, work on more technique. You know, you can't depend on the natural gifts as much. You know, like when you see some boxers are really powerful at the lower weights, like say if you're a power puncher at 135, but then when you move up to 140, you're not knocking as many people out anymore. Move up to 147, you're not knocking anybody out because the chins are harder, the fighters are bigger, they're stronger. Their power punches are harder. You got to start more so depending on defense, more feints, more head movements, more technique on how you set up knockout punches now, counter punches, you know, because the higher you go up in weight, you know, the power and the strength, you know, is going to change. You know, it's more so going to be in their favor. You know, so somebody Jessica Andrade, same way you were slamming, you know, a Jessica Panay or, you know, slamming a Rose Namajunas, you're not going to be able to slam a Caitlin or a Jillian Robertson, or you might not be able to get to slam them too easy, or Jennifer Maia, you know, so you got to kind of work towards it. You know, you got to start using strikes, using right hands, and you got to use timing to set those slams up now. You know, you got to catch them off guard more so. Before, you know, she could just go in there knowing she was stronger and pick them up right off top. You just run in there and grab them and slam them because you got the physical advantage. But now these ladies are going to have the physical advantage and height advantage over it. So you got to use more technique to get the results you want. So that's something Jessica Andrade is also going to have to really think about. You know, this move up to 125, you're going to have to use so much more technique and have better defense. Have better defense because the strikes are going to be harder. And believe me, the jab is going to be coming at you from all of these different fighters. You know, if you fight an Andrea Lee again, you fight a Roxanne, they're all going to be jabbing you. So that's something for Jessica Andrade needs to think about. Caitlin, of course, she can't go in there overconfident. You know, I think she knows that now. I saw on Instagram saying she was going to be, you know, something about a Polly Pocket. I guess she was calling her like tiny. You know, well, don't go in there overconfident because, you know, you never know if Jessica Andrade closes that distance and she gets past your jab and lands that overhand right. Well, she packs that power, boy, she might knock you out. You never know. So, or if she does get you to the ground with a simple takedown and, you know, she grounds and pounds your ass, you know, you'll be thinking, oh, shit, I should have took this seriously. But I think Caitlin Chookagian is taking this fight seriously. You know, I think that, yeah, she's always taking all her fights seriously, you know, so I don't see her really counting Jessica Andrade out. And I don't think, you know, Caitlin really wants to lose that position that she has. You know, she's always came in there to perform and get better and better. And she showed that even in her last fight out with Antonita. So, yeah, like always, man, as we get closer to this one, I will break this down more technical. But like I said, I just want to give you my thoughts on it now. Right now, it kind of looks like a mismatch on paper. But my final thoughts for now is that Jessica Andrade, at her move up to flyweight, she's going to have to start working on more fundamentals, you know, as far as her technique. Gotta be more defensive minded. No more brute strength. No more just straight up running in gung ho because, you know, these ladies are bigger. You know, Caitlin Chookagian, I think she just got to use everything that we see on paper to her advantage. You know what I mean? Just got to use everything, the height, reach, experience, and the boxing and striking skill. That's it, you know? But yeah, I'll break this one down as we get closer to this fight because this one's going down, next month and some change. So yeah. All right, y'all. So now it is time for breakdown predictions. Got 2 fights coming up this weekend. I'm going to do both breakdown predictions for both of these fights. First fight is Montana De La Rosa versus Viviana Araujo. And then we got Sijara Eubank versus Carol Rosa. So, first up, Montana De La Rosa versus Viviana Araujo. First, I got to say, Montana, 2 words that come to mind with her: young and dangerous. I know a lot of casual fans, they're quick to say she don't have a striking game. She can't strike. She can't box. She can't do any of this. But, I think a lot of these casual fans, they look at the fact that she has a growing IQ. Montana's a fighter. She's always looking for a way to win. I mean, just when you think that she's out or she's about to lose, she's behind in rounds, she's bloodied up, she's coming back with something. She's always dangerous. She submitted 8 out of 11 of her opponents that she's beaten. So that tells you that she knows her way around the mat. And remember that she's only 27. So imagine when she puts that striking game together, which she's always working on her striking. They go back and watch tape. So they know that, okay, Montana, you solid on the ground. You're a solid grappler. You know how to submit fighters. But it's time to work on your striking. They're telling her that. So she is trying her best to improve that. So imagine whenever she gets her striking up to at least a B+. She's gonna be at that next level. And you got to think she's only lost to fighters that already have got to that level before her. When you talk about the Cynthia Calvillos or the Andrea Lees, they beat her because they had good technique on their feet. Or even Cynthia Calvillo, she beat, she submitted her, so those are fighters that already knew how to level up. But Montana, like I said, at 27 and she's still growing, she's going to be at that level pretty soon. She's definitely going to be at that level pretty soon. Viviana Araujo, I like her. 2 words that come to mind with her is high energy. She's a fighter that brings that type of action that this division needs. She has that type of swag, the type of swagger about her. Again, that type of style that I think a lot of flyweights don't have, that she needs to bring, to the table. She's a solid grappler. I think she's like a brown belt and a black belt under 2 under 2 teachers or whatever. But I think she is like a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, she's well-rounded, but she's mostly dependent on her feet. She's very in and out. She loves to strike. She has fast hands. She has solid footwork. She loves to move in and out. So when you really think about it, I think that her having to pull out of the Jennifer Maia fight, like a month back, I think this fight here might actually be a little bit more stylistically pleasing. I think this is going to be kind of like grappler versus striker at times, or vice versa. They might both want to strike. They might both want to take it to the ground. So it's one of those unpredictable type of fights, So both of these ladies, like I said, they really want to make statements in this game. And, Montana, she's dangerous right now. I feel like Montana's dangerous, and so is Viviana. So it's going to be a good fight. So real quick, man, just looking at the keys to victory for both of these fighters. Montana De La Rosa up first. Jab. I know a lot of people are going to say I'm crazy because, she can't really strike that well. Her striking is subpar. Some people are going to say it's awful. I don't think her striking is awful. I think that right now, honestly, Montana De La Rosa, her striking is a C-. I think that from what I've seen in her past few fights, I think she's still putting it together. I think that it might be a step up in this fight, of course. I'm just going off her last one, but in this one, it might be a grade up, which I hope it is. But she is going to need to use this jab. And I think every fighter can benefit off a jab. So hopefully in this training camp, they've been working on a good jab. That jab can be your best friend, whether it is on offense or defense. And I think that Montana is going to need to use a jab as a way to really set up her range early as a measuring stick for her getting her takedowns, as well as knowing her range on Viviana's attacks. How Viviana can be in and out on her feet. She's going to need that measuring stick. So whenever Viviana steps in, she can either counter with the right hand or she can counter with the jab and get the takedown. So you need to use that jab as a range finder and a blinder. Like I always say, I don't care if you're a boxer, or a wrestler, everybody's going to need to use that jab at some point. You know, that jab is your best friend. That's why I said hopefully they've been working on the jab, because a jab is needed for Montana De La Rosa against a fast in and out fighter like Viviana Araujo to get your takedowns and get them clean and get a fighter down. Go in for the clinch. I think Montana's definitely going to need to go in for the clinch and close in on a faster fighter like this. And to do that, I think she needs to set it up with leg kicks early. You want to slow somebody like Viviana Araujo down. Viviana Araujo, sometimes she can kind of exert a lot of energy early in a fight. So when she starts to tire herself out, that's when she needs to start going. Montana needs to start striking to the body and using leg kicks, start closing that distance to go into the clinch and get that head control so she can use those takedowns on a tired fighter and get her to the ground and hopefully look for that submission win. So she's going to need to get her way in with a good 1-2 at times, go for that body lock, and then rush her to the cage and then try her best to, get that head control and take her down. So I think that clinch is what she's going to want to do, fight in close quarters. You don't want to let somebody like Viviana Araujo continue to move around and keep that distance, because it's just going to tire and frustrate Montana out. So close distance and go for that clinch. Use the right hand. Again, people are going to say her striking is not that good, but Montana has power. I think right now it's like undisciplined power. It's something that she's not even aware that she has, or she's not really aware on how to use it yet, but I think she definitely has power. She definitely has power. She showed it against Mara Romero Barella. She cracked, was Andrade. She cracked a couple times with some good right hands on the inside. So her right hand is not only got power to it, but right now, since not a lot of people are expecting Montana De La Rosa to have hands and have a striking game, she's already got one up over people, the element of surprise of that right hand. If Montana De La Rosa uses that right hand, she's going to have that element of surprise whenever she cracks Viviana Araujo a couple of times. Like Viviana, she can come straight in and out. She can dart in and out pretty fast, right? But when she's striking on the 1-2. She's striking 1-2-3. Her hands are down, so much like the way Mara kind of stepped in, landed her right hand on Montana. Montana came back with a big counter right hand over the top. Montana's going to need time Viviana Araujo the same way. She's going to need to wait for her to leap in. And when she leaps in, she needs to come over the top with the right hand. That's something very, very important that she needs to really learn, and why that striking is going to be important, even if you are a grappler. So right hand is really important. Start homing in with that straight right hand on the fighter that likes to dart in and out. So, yeah, Montana, those are her keys to victory. I say jab, go in for the clinch, fight in close quarters, and use the right hand to get this fight to the ground, to make it a rough and ugly fight and to get it to the ground. Viviana Araujo, I feel like, like I said, she's a high energy fighter. She's a very good on her feet, very awkward. She kind of likes to, shoe shine a little bit, and she likes to move around the ring. She's a showman. So for Viviana Araujo, I feel like she needs to strike first and move. Much like she did against Alexa Davis, how she had some moments against Jessica Eye. I think that she really needs to use her hand speed and just pot shot from the outside. Take advantage of the weaknesses of Montana early. Jab from the outside, hit the face, hit the nose. Open up some cuts on Montana, to really frustrate her, and use that speed. Get full extension off the shots. Don't step fully in. Let the hands go and move out at an angle. Don't back straight up, because if you back straight up, the right hand that comes out straight for Montana can still catch you. So you got to dart in, dart out diagonally or sideways. Never back straight out. Strike first and move. Also, one of the little things I see she does, whenever she strikes, it's like some boxers, she throws the 1-2 and then she kind of shoves you back. So that's something you want to do against Montana to avoid those timed clinches. Like if Montana catches you on the inside, shove back. So, you land the 1-2-3, shove her back. 1-2, shove her back to find your distance again. Leg kicks. Use those leg kicks on Montana to make her think twice about coming in. Switch levels with it. Go upstairs, downstairs. Kick Montana to the body, then kick her to the calf. make her think twice about coming in. Even when you throw those combinations up top, end it with a leg kick. That way tear that lead leg up, because sometimes when Montana's coming in flat-footed, that front foot is heavy. That front foot, she's putting a lot of weight on it. So it's there to be hit. If she comes in there kind of stalking forward, go ahead and tag that front foot heavy lead foot, just to kind of make her think twice about coming in. Takedowns, surprise Montana with the takedowns. Time those slower kicks from Montana. If she tries to throw a head kick, time it, grab her, and just take her to the ground. You have a ground game as well. Araujo, she has a ground game as well. So, she can make it rough and ugly. She can kind of surprise her. She takes her to the ground, get in some strikes, kind of wear Montana out, bust her up, get back up. Don't necessarily stay in there long enough for Montana to figure out a submission, figure out a way to get her, because you don't want to make it an even fight. You want to make sure you stay ahead of your game. So Viviana, use the strike, use the takedowns as like your element of surprise. So I think that's what Araujo, she really needs to do in this fight. And last up, don't overexert yourself. Don't use all of that energy up moving around. No, stop using a lot of unnecessary movement. I think that Viviana Araujo, she uses a lot of unnecessary movement. That's why by like the end of I'd say like maybe like by the end of the first round or second round, you see her start to kind of breathing heavy a little bit, or kind of moving a little slower. She starts too fast sometimes with the legs. Like, you can be fast in and out, but don't use a lot of unnecessary movement, like the legs, like constantly moving in and out. I mean, you could put a little bounce to your step, but it's got to be like a reserve tank of energy, like how Manny Pacquiao, he does. Manny's fast as hell, but he can keep doing that for 12 rounds because he gives you that illusion of like everything is moving, but not everything is moving. Like his shoulders are moving, his head is twitching, his hands are moving. It kind of throws you off. And then he'll hit you with like a fast movement on the inside. Then he'll like angle out and then step back. He's not constantly like in sprint mode. Sometimes I think that Araujo, she's constantly like moving everything. That's why she's kind of like gassed out sometimes, or like her legs are gone by like the third round. So don't overexert yourself. Only use necessary speed at the right times. That can't say that enough. Can't say that enough, because I've seen her like overexert so much energy that she kind of uses up her tank by the end of the third or end of the second round. But yeah, those are the keys to victory for her. Strike first and move. Be unpredictable. Go for takedowns. And use those leg kicks. Definitely use leg kicks, and don't overexert yourself. My prediction for this one, this is a tough call, man. This is a really, really tough call, because I feel like style-wise, this is going to be I think it's going to be a good match of styles where it's an entertaining fight. But if I had to pick, it's kind of a biased pick, and also a pick off of who's fought the more experienced fighters in the UFC. I'm going with Montana De La Rosa in this fight. I'm going to go with maybe a late round submission or a close decision in this fight. And it's not full on guarantee, of course, that she'll win. Like I said, I'm kind of picking because, I am a fan of her. But I do know that Araujo, she has that ability to piece her up. But it's all going to come down to see if she can stay consistent and not gas herself out, Araujo. Because I know that Montana De La Rosa, she can be a little bit more consistent when it comes to her energy. She's always looking for a way to win. And I think that even if she's getting outstruck, she's going to still stay in a fight until she can get you down to the ground and try to submit you or land something big. I feel like Viviana, she can kind of gas out down the stretch. So if she comes in here overexerting herself too much, in the leg with her legs again, if she comes in there moving too much, and she becomes more of a sitting target, I think that Montana is going to really keep that same energy throughout the first round, throughout the second round, throughout the third round, until she can get her down to the ground and get a lot of ground control in like the second and third round here. And like I said, if she's able to wear Araujo down, she could possibly get a submission in the third round. So I'm going to go with Montana, close decision or a late round submission in this fight. But if Araujo keeps it standing and she fights smart on her feet and conserves her energy, it's possible she could come away with a decision win, by just piecing up and pot shotting Montana De La Rosa up, but don't count Montana out when it comes to her timing. If she's been working on her striking and she catches Araujo coming in with the overhand right, if she catches that chin, while it's wide open when she steps in, then the game could change. Could definitely favor Montana, even in the stand-up in that factor. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Montana by a close decision or a late round submission. Yeah, but overall, I think it's gonna be a good competitive fight. Yeah, I do like this matchup. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Montana De La Rosa versus Viviane Araujo, So yeah, man, that's all I got on this one, guys. Try not to make this too long an episode, but yeah, let me give me some comments in the comment section on all these topics, guys. What y'all think about what I talked about today, as far as even the Caitlin Chookagian and Jessica Andrade fight. But yeah, like always, make sure y'all subscribe. I'll post all the information here. And again, man, like when y'all comment, shoot me some topics in the bottom in the comment section about some stuff y'all want me to talk about on the next episode. Let me know what some questions y'all have, and I'll answer them on the next episode, as well as, I'll do a whole topic on whatever it is y'all want. Shout out to, people like Marcus Bell and, George Page that always come through, while my videos stream. I'm usually just these are pre-recorded, so when they streaming, I'll just come through while it's streaming. Sometimes I see y'all comments, so that's cool. So yeah, man, make sure y'all do that. And like always, my name's Combo Breaker 99. Thanks to my new subscribers. I'm out. Peace.